The hearing is for the 2015-2016 budget for the general fund, fire fund, and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Kozlowski, present. Cotwick.
Here.
Mullins.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Dean.
Here.
You have four.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. The public hearing is, this budget is based on 1 mil for the general fund. The board has set 2 mils for the fire fund, and that will be the same as last year, no increase. And the public improvement is 1%, I mean 1 mil. So we'll open this up for questions. Walter?
I noticed in the previous years, the first page was always a revenue page, what the estimated revenue is going to be. I don't see that in this, in the handouts I got, to be able to compare.
I don't think we did one.
Yeah, I'd like to go out with.
No, I didn't do one.
We had to do one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did one.
Yeah, we did one.
We have one.
We got one right here. There you go, Walter.
Oh, we had one.
You found it? You want me to go make copies?
No, no. Wow. Does everybody need it, or Sam?
I don't need it.
Anybody?
We did one, I remember we did it,
Yeah.
so. Because we were talking about the school tax and stuff on it. If we were gonna show that under something different.
Well, whether you want it, the auditor put it under taxes, whether Andrew needed a separate line, or we just, the way the auditor reported it.
So I knew we did one.
So there's nothing, anything outstanding new in the revenue part? Other than the revenue is still less than our expenses, our estimated expenses?
You don't have it there.
Oh, I don't have it on mine, Steve.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it on mine.
Oh, that, I mean, basically, it's the same revenue that we had last year. What we've got in there is I think on it, I better wait till I get the page.
Well, last year you transferred, well, to balance the budget, you had 50,945. I see.
But last year we went out of fund balance. I think that's, this year we're getting a reimbursement from the fire department. I believe that's what we used, Walter. But that's still fund balance money, actually.
It says transfer from fund balance, right?
Two.
That was last year.
Yeah, last year's was from and this year's two. It's the opposite. Last year was transfer from fund balance and this year it's transfer to fund balance, overage.
That's fire department. We loan the fire department money to pay off the building, and
Well, I thought that was, on the general fund budget, 2015, 2016, the bottom number is 378,103.05. 43,000 some odd dollars is from, transfer from fund balance. So I assume then our expenditures, if they all are expended in the budget, will be more than revenue income.
There should be a 2 in the brackets right there. Because see how that number is actually negative? So that's not going from, it's going to. It's going the opposite of what that text is saying. Because it's negative. Like, it should say transfer from to fund balance. Does that make?
Well, let me start over.
Okay.
The current 15-16 budget, the total budget is $378,103.05.
Right. And if you,
Okay, and if you add up all the funds, except transfer from fund balance, you're gonna be $43,636.95 short of that.
no, we have, if
That's
you,
going
over.
back into the fund balance. When it's in parentheses, it's going back into,
So
it's to the fund balance.
if you add all those numbers but the 43,000, you come up with
378,
no, 421,740.
really? Okay. So that's a departure from previous years when we had to transfer money in to balance the budget at the beginning of the fiscal year.
I know, but we're getting 72,500 from other funds, and that's coming from the fire department.
Our actual revenue's in only $336,000 per year.
Well, without the fire.
And then
That's what I'm saying.
Then the $42,000 is transferred in to make it a sum of
Okay, so,
$378,000.
No, it's not.
Sure it is.
No, that's, you guys are thinking of it backwards.
I realize what you're saying, that's the fire department paying us back.
Yeah, so if you go the next two lines up, that, I guess that's more the number you're asking for, right? Without these bottom two lines? Is that what you mean?
No, what Walt is asking for is that number without that. That number right there?
Yeah, that's 421,740.
That number? No.
Yeah.
No, it
Can
can't
I
be.
calculate?
I mean, it hasn't been for the last 3 or 4 years. Every year we, at
I
the
know,
beginning of the
but
budget.
the 72,500 was never on there in previous years.
I got mine in my pocket too. Okay, if I minus that number, would I be
Oh, yeah, yeah.
336?
Yeah, 349,240,
You
without that number.
gotta minus the $72,500, Walt. And forget about the 43,636 right now, that's your actual revenue in. From the $130,919 to the 500, if you add them totals up, that will tell you your revenue in.
Yeah, there you go.
And the rest of it is payback and like Andrew was saying at that point.
Okay,
And that comes to 336.
So you're saying-
349,240.
What was it, 330?
349,240.
Yeah, right there.
49,
Because see, we had that one time.
Yeah.
I've got it in here, I mean,
Yep.
he's got it right there.
Yeah. And compared to last year, that was a different, I think it went up $12,000.
So compared to last year,
Was it last year 336, something like that?
last year's 336,258.
Yeah.
2014-15 transfer from fund balance is $50,945 last year.
Yeah, we got additional revenue. State revenue sharing is going up. We're bringing in more money from waste receiving.
Okay, I guess I can't make my point.
So
I'll try one more time.
you're asking how it swung $90,000, right?
Basically, I'm saying the last 4 or 5 years, every year, at the beginning of the budget, now I understand you don't necessarily spend everything in the budget, but at the beginning of the fiscal year, we had less revenue on paper than we had expenses.
That's what we have now. We've got,
Andrew just said if you take out,
So if you look at the expenditures, what we did was we tightened up a lot of the expenditure columns. So that way then we wouldn't have to write the overage in the budget. Like if we go through,
okay, I guess I just,
so,
so if we spend all our money this year, and we don't have this transfer to the fund balance, or whatever you call that, and we spend all our money that we budgeted otherwise, are we gonna break even, or are we gonna be in a hole?
if we spent all the expenditures on here, we would add $43,636.95 to the fund balance.
To balance the year?
It would be added, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm after.
It wouldn't be deducted like.
So we're not level yet with our revenues compared to our expenses. We haven't been the last 3, 4, or 5 years, and we're not gonna be this year.
Well, no, it's the opposite way of the previous years.
Okay,
Is that-
I give up, I don't understand.
Well, so Maybe if we go through the expenditures, maybe it will help to see the rest, and then we can go back to the,
I went through the expenditures, and in some cases, some places we had some big changes from previous years. Like in the cost center, the first one, account names, I guess you call it the township board, is that what you'd call that section?
Correct, the 101 account.
Okay. See, this year, well, how do I want to say this? I see what I missed. This year, we budgeted less money than the previous year for the total account, the first page on the township board. Last year, we budgeted 79,000 and some odd dollars. This year, we're budgeting 68,000, almost $69,000. So there's been a lot of deductions made in that section of the budget. And some of them looks to me like they've been added together, maybe. But what changed to allow us to, is that a result of, is this the decrease in the amount we're gonna spend in this section a result of decrease because of trustee wages or anything like that? Okay, that's what I'm getting at, so.
We budgeted 16,000 last year, we only budgeted 8 this year.
Yeah,
It's the actual wages for the trustees, because we don't have to do nearly what the old trustees had to do, when they used to get compensated for it. We don't do that, so, because we have 2 DPW full-time employees to do it.
yeah, because the difference is about 11,000 less, and the 8,000 is recovered in that area, is what you're saying?
Yep, that's your big.
That was a goal of the township board to do that, right?
That was a goal of my board when I got on this board.
Okay, well,
To
you're only
reduce
one
some
member,
costs.
but,
Well, I agree, but the rest of the board went with me.
okay. The postage has been changed around from previous years, I understand, so that's different.
That's all on the clerk's center now.
Yeah, exactly. In this year's budget, we have a account name called building expenses. Previous year, there was in 14-15, there was a expenditure called capital outlays. Is this basically the same thing? It's the last one of the
Right.
township board. Last year, in 14-15, it was called capital outlays. This year, it's called business expenses. So that's the-
Building expense.
building.
building expenses. Is that, basically, that's the same thing? We're doing the same things there in that account number?
Okay, this is the township board. We're not going to be, there won't be any capital expenditures there. The capital expenditures come in town hall, what we put in here.
Another account number section you're talking about?
Right, that's town hall. All the expenses come out, capital improvements come out of town hall. Town board is just the actual cost of wages and insurances, pensions. Well, you can see what's there, Walter.
Okay. The, we're MESC, refresh my memory, what is MESC? Unemployment, so
Just
that's went up
unemployment
quite a bit. I mean, a
Yeah.
third. went from 4,000 to 6,000.
Other way around.
Yeah, I mean, it's declined. So you gained, it's 4,000 now, and last year it was 6,000.
Okay, last year, we had an employee laid off. We end up, when unemployment pays them, we pay all that money back. We have enough work, things to do, the
Okay.
mechanical end of it, that we felt that it was just wiser with the work we had not to lay someone off, so there's no need for that money to be in that cost center.
And we also changed our status from being a reimburser to a compensator.
So does that save us
I
money
don't really
overall?
know what that means, so.
It means I'm not paying until somebody's collecting now.
Government entities don't pay unemployment unless they actually lay somebody off,
I know.
and then they pay back 100% of everything they draw. Is that simple?
Insurance and bonds, that also changed considerably from last year to this year. Last year was 14,000 and this year it's 10,000. What changed there?
We just look at the expenditures we had last year, and we just felt that we weren't spending that much in that cost center.
From past experience? Okay,
Yeah, in 12 and 13, we spent 76, a little over 7,600. 13, 14, we spent 8,900. Same as what we're on track for this year for insurance. We still have a big payment to go out, I think, but we've only spent 1,200 so far, but I think we have one payment to go, right? So,
I see you reduced quite a bit of funds in the education account number also.
Well, all of us don't go to the conventions, so, I mean, there's a savings in that expense, in that cost center.
That's just for board members, or was that education for
Board members.
people that comes in here to help for the voting and stuff like that? That money doesn't come out of this?
That comes out of election.
Okay. So, okay, thank you on that. We didn't make much changes in the supervision, or the supervisor. Staying where he was. Elections is down quite a bit because there's basically not gonna be any elections too much in this
This year.
upcoming fiscal year. Makes sense. Assessors' wages went up a little bit, but basically that's in line with the rest of that. There's no money for education and or capital outlay in this section that was in there last year. Last year you had some money, not very much for both of those two things. Capital outlay and education has been removed from this 209 assessor section.
the last 3 years I'm looking at, there hasn't been any education expense. And then capital outlay would be, what would a capital outlay be for the assessor,
Well,
computer
we
or something?
just printers. Computer. We
Yeah.
just bought a new printer, and I talked to the assessor, we don't see anything that he needs new this year. The computer is not that old.
And even if we buy a computer, we share it with the other 3 townships that he works on.
Right. So we don't need those account numbers anymore, is basically what you're saying, or we don't need it in this fiscal year anyway, is what you're saying. It could be back on there next year.
Right, if you needed a computer next year, then you could plan for that.
Clerk's office, the biggest increase there is the salary.
That's correct.
Court got a raise?
I did.
Okay. That explains that. The treasurer's office actually, what do I got here? It went up also, so the treasurer's got a increase in wages also,
Yes.
okay? So the cost in that section went up almost $4,800 from last year. Basically, that's all in the salary, I believe.
Not all of it.
Pretty much, though. I mean,
No, no.
there's, Social Security's got a little, went up a little bit, postage went up a little bit.
Pension went up.
Supplies, computer.
Oh, I don't have a number for last year in the treasurer section. There was, oh, the computer's the
There-
same,
oh, yeah, that's-
3,000 each,
Yeah.
it didn't change.
Right.
Right,
Oh, it was in the supplies, that's.
So we got a little bit more in Social Security, a little bit more in postage, and then just the salary.
and supplies,
Supplies?
uh-huh.
Oh, $500 more?
Yeah, there's
No,
about-
that went down.
There's about $1,500 more besides the salary.
Supplies last year was 500, this year it's listed as 1,000, so
Mhm.
supplies went up some. Okay, now we're at the town hall one. This account overall went down from last year. Other than, well, everywhere it went down pretty well. The salary and pension went down in that section for town hall. I assume that's related in what we talked to you before, about what the work the trustees are doing, or not?
There's no trustee's salary that comes out of town hall.
Who comes out of town hall?
DP, our maintenance workers.
So what we did with the DPW wages was, we totaled up how much they could make, and then we added a buffer into that, and then divided it over their 4 cost centers. So,
Oh,
so you'll see, so.
each one's gonna be a little bit different.
Right, yeah, so we kinda, that way, cause I think before we had, you know, it was,
If they spent 40% of their time in one department, that's budgeted for 40% of the
Right.
hours.
yeah,
The
so,
yearly calendar hours.
so it was kinda more just balancing out, where we put their money. It's not necessarily like a wage decrease or.
Okay, well, in the current budget that we're talking about, salaries and pension is, last year it was called pension and DPW salaries. So now it's just called salaries and pension, so I took it as that basically means the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
So this year, so all the money was in there before, now it's spread over other work areas? Is that what you're telling me? Because there's a decrease of like $10,000.
Right, yeah, it just, got moved, like, cause before, what did we total up to, Sam, about 60, I don't know. It was around $70,000 that we're paying for the DPW workers, max, you know, with everything.
Mhm.
So we took that amount, and I think in previous years, we were budgeted, you know, over that amount. So that's why it's gonna look like a difference, is because now we're accurately reflecting, you know, even if they work, you know, this is showing 40 hours a week with that, holidays and everything else, that's all factored in there. So that's the most that we're gonna pay out in DPW workers, so we don't need that extra as much because we factored out all their wages for the year.
They're spending more hours in other departments,
Yeah.
so we can afford to cut them hours in them departments, to add to the other departments where they're spending their hours.
And then last year's budget, we had more in the budget without knowing exactly what we're gonna do. Now we've tracked it enough that we feel we're a lot more accurate with it.
How often is the pay period? Is that weekly or
Aye.
bi-weekly? So if they, of that, when they work a 40-hour week, of the 80 hours, so many hours come out of one
Town
cost
hall,
center,
cemetery, waste receiving, and excess
and
sites.
you figure that out, the percentage.
They give me their time, on the
Yeah.
time sheet.
That's
Yeah.
what I figured.
Well, I notice, other than, if you take the next social security, supplies, professional services, building expense, and telephone, they all increased from last year. Not a lot, but if you add them all together, it comes to almost $4,000, $3,500 to $4,000.
When, you got your sheet switched around it.
Building expenses were 5,000 last year, and this year they're 3,500.
Yeah, that's
Telephone was 25, and it's only 26 this year. Utilities were 8, and they're 7 this year. Capital outlay was 9, and it's 1650 this year.
That's a big increase there. I haven't got to that one yet, so.
But we're still down $2,400.
So,
Yeah, 2,420 by my addition, right. Basically, that all come out of the wages and salary, and everything else either stayed the same pretty much or went up in cost.
well, the wages was adjusted 6,500. The rest of those, excluding capital outlay, were adjusted down 3,420, and then capital outlay was adjusted up 7,500.
Well, last year, capital outlay was $9,000,
Right, yeah, it was adjusted up, 7,500.
16,500 this year, so what are we doing different there?
That reflects the carpet in the building if we were to recarpet the building. Estimate from here all the way over there. That's an
Okay.
estimated cost of recarpeting,
If we do it.
if we do it.
Yeah, you don't, I understand you don't have to spend it, that's what it's in there
It's there
for.
if we need it.
Okay,
Also, you understand that we budget by cost center, not line item.
I understand that,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, really.
But the budget's a line item.
The line
That's what
item,
we have
right,
to look at.
we do the line item so we can track it, where money's going, and that way we can set our budget each year. And as Andrew told you earlier, we're trying to get it closer to the exact figures. And that's gonna fluctuate from year to year.
Or the next one is cemeteries. That has the same pension salary difference that the last section did. So there's a lot of money here that, this year, if you add the pension and salary together, it's 27,500. Last year was 18,700. That's a big change.
Well, last year's salary and pension was 35,200 in cemeteries.
Oh, I'm sorry, 35,200, right. And this year in cemeteries, it's
27,500.
27, so it's about, I have $7,700 approximately
Yep,
difference.
yep, here.
And that's the same reasoning as before,
Mhm.
the time spent in different cost centers. So gas and oil went down, professional services contract went down.
We purchase our gas from the village now.
Oh, that's good, so that's saving us money. How about the professional service / contract count line? That's what-
Okay, we were fertilizing 4 times a year, and we got the cemetery in better shape. Now we're doing it ourselves. We've cut that expense down to
What are we doing ourselves?
Fertilizing.
fertilizer.
Oh, so
So
that's
we-
why it's went from 10,000 down to 5,000?
We cut that away down, and also we've had to take a lot of trees out, and it
Right, that's
doesn't
true.
look right now that there's any that's ready to go. I don't think you know of any.
Other than if we get any storm damage, we're
Well,
in
right,
pretty
I
good
mean,
shape.
then, right, I mean.
But we have it in there in case we do have storm damage.
Okay, well, that's a good explanation, because I wondered, I thought 5,000, I didn't realize exactly what fell under professional services and contracts, so. I'm expecting less repairs to be needed in the cemeteries also, not, $500, $900 is not a lot, but it's almost, it's more than 60% of the money that was budgeted in last year anyway.
Well, also the cemetery was getting in bad shape and need extra
Now it's in
work,
real
and
good
now
shape.
we feel that we are bringing it up to a standard that's acceptable to the residents, and we want to maintain it. But again, we had to take, the trees we've taken out, and just,
Well, I think the board and the workers did a good job in the cemetery over the last couple of years, or 3 years, whatever it is. It's really made it a lot better looking cemetery than it was in the past, so.
well, right, and thanks for saying that, Walter. We tried to do that.
Waste receiving. Cost from last year to this year's went up almost $16,000.
But if you keep in mind, the cemetery account went down by $14,000.
So a lot more time is being spent here.
We're back to that percentage of hours spent
Okay.
in one spot, yep.
Yeah, because the wages and salaries, was changed 11,550 on that one.
Yeah, well, if you just add the
Right.
pension in salary from, last year's budget was like, not quite 19,000, and this
18,000.
year it's almost 30,000.
Right.
Okay, but we've had to add more money to that. We're gonna do a budget amendment, put more money in waste receiving, due to the work we've had to do. We started taking brush up there. We put another dumpster in. We had to have Buckman come in, add gravel, expand that.
In this year's budget.
And last year's, this year that we're
Current
working
budget.
on, current budget, correct.
So it's gonna actually
is gonna
spend
be-
more than that.
Right, and then also, there's no place for the residents to dump building material, things like that, without going to Kalkaska or Charlevoix, so that's increasing. And that price is reflected in there, but also the income is reflected slightly on revenue.
Yeah, you see the building, construction material dumpster went up 7,000 this year.
And we're doing that.
You're actually thinking you're gonna spend less money in large items and compactor costs in this new fiscal year.
Yeah, the compactor wasn't as much as 20,000, but we spent a little more on large items and a lot more on building and construction materials.
Total was only $1,000 difference, which is not,
Oh yeah,
it was
between those
pretty
two.
good.
Well, we added in 7,000 for the building, so overall it's a $6,000 difference.
Yeah, the building went up a lot, because
And we're kind of forecasting if there's more construction and things like that going on, hopefully this year.
but you spent some money in the building this year. You changed the heat, right, didn't you, and stuff like that too.
Well, this is,
That's one of the reasons why this section's gonna need some more money too, probably.
Well, the
that's
money we
trash
spent-
though.
This is just trash.
That line's trash.
Not the building or anything.
Right,
else.
yeah, that's just the hauling fees for building and construction materials.
And in this year's budget also, we've had some additional funds and brush coming in. We were dumping in one area, we had golf come in and mulch all that. So we've moved it to another area to save money in that.
Okay, well, the biggest difference is the wages and salaries and pension. and Social Security a little bit as a result. So I understand what's going on there. Now, Parks and Rec used to be called access sites.
No, vice versa.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the current.
The current is access site, we changed it from Parks and Rec, because we don't have a Parks and Rec.
In 2014-15,
It was Parks and Rec,
exactly, that's what I said, Parks and Rec has been changed to access sites.
correct.
And I guess the same thing applies. Spent more time there than we anticipated, so the cost went up a little bit in that section.
Well, we know we got work to do out there on a couple of them this spring. Of the access sites,
Including the one with the poison ivy and
that's, yes,
everything.
yes, we're gonna bring some black dirt in and do some reseeding. So that's why we know that cost is gonna go up, that's why they budgeted more for the salaries.
I noticed in, that makes sense, thank you. Cost center 941's been deleted.
That's just a contingency, that we haven't
Exactly.
used that for probably the last 4 years.
Okay. Because last year you had $5,000 in there, and I assume you didn't spend hardly any of it, is what you're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's been zero for the past, since 12 at least. That's how far back I wrote down, was to 2012.
In our budget amendments, we usually just move money from one cost center to another,
Okay.
without taking it out of contingency.
Public Improvement Fund, is that the road, Millie? Is that what that is?
But,
That
public
is-
improvement, yes.
So we're carrying over 123,000 roughly in our,
No, we're carrying over
250.
250.
123 is the taxes.
I'm sorry. We had $250,000 still remaining in the 14-15 year budget?
No, by the end of, when we get our taxes collected this year, that's about what.
Oh,
I'm
you mean,
estimating.
okay. We haven't got the millage for the roads yet, but
Right, because
it's in here as projection, what it's gonna be.
well, currently our fund balance is $243,000, and that's with a decent chunk of our taxes. I don't know the exact figure of how much of our taxes we've collected yet. So,
Okay, I understand. So, that money, if everything goes like you guys were talking about last year, is worked on Old State Road. That's kind of the idea, isn't it?
I feel that, I mean, myself, that's what and we haven't taken it to the board yet.
Right, that's it.
And I don't think we will take it to the board until we see what happens with this election and
In May.
what the county's going to do, right, in May.
The governor's thing to put things on the ballot for the road.
Well, he's not putting it on, he's
Sales
putting
He put it on the
one
ballot.
penny increase, saying that the biggest percentage is going for roads. He
Yeah,
is
there's
not-
money going to other places too.
But we don't know how much it's gonna be yet.
Well, we have no idea, and you don't know if it's gonna pass.
Right.
So if we wait until that passes or fails, can the work still be done next, later that year? I mean, after May and sometime during the summer?
Well, right, I mean,
That's the idea, but you don't know.
sometimes when you go out to bid, Sam, you don't go out till almost fall
Either,
sometimes.
a lot of times, yeah. Depends on how the funding falls out.
If the ballot proposal,
Well, no work is gonna start before April.
exactly,
Okay, so you bid it in April, it starts in May. A lot of times the contractor doesn't come in to July, August anyway.
so no matter how the election goes, maybe I shouldn't put this words in here. If the election doesn't go, the idea is to use our revenues from this account to fix some roads in the township.
It's gonna go for roads, yes, correct. And
And you think they'll be done in the same current year?
I feel that probably the board, and how I can
So you're
state
saying.
it for myself until the board votes on it, I would say that we're probably gonna try and improve Old State.
Okay. I'm not picking on any one road, I'm just saying roads in general.
Well, yeah, that's what,
So if the new ballot in May passes, is that gonna change anything?
I don't know. I
Oh.
called Bert Burson at convention in Lansing. He won't be back to Friday. He says that, possibly he comes back, he'll know more. We just don't know, Walt. I mean, I can't give you any answers, it's only a guess. Your guess is gonna be as good as ours.
Thank you. Township, fire department budget. Account name, that's the. Page 7, I guess, page 7 is is this revenue projections? No,
Yes.
Yes, that's revenue.
that's revenue projections, okay. And the next page is expenditures, correct?
Correct.
Now, debt retirement, what exactly does that mean? Is that something there to balance the two, or?
That's to pay off the building, pay back
Or-
the general fund.
That has nothing to do with the money that we,
Or wait a minute, that's to pay
Yeah.
off the fire truck. I'm
That's
sorry.
Pay back to
okay,
us.
that's what I was getting at.
And then the building and grounds new is they're paying back, for their building.
For the building, I just reversed it there.
We probably,
I understand. Building grounds new, 27,500 hours, it's expense to pay back what? That's paying off something?
But
There's that.
27.5, that's the fire truck.
The
Or the
27
building, I'm sorry, the
The
building.
27.5 is
and-
the building,
How long before the building will be all paid off?
Do you have any?
I think it's 6 years,
5 or 6. I
5
think
years.
it's 6 total and they made
Yeah.
one payment, so
5 years.
'Cause- Okay,
off the top of my head, I think it's 5.
in the debt retirement of the truck, that's where you give it, you paid it off with a tax-free loan, and they're paying you back so much a year. And that amount is 45,000?
Yes.
Okay,
5 years. Up to that. 45 is about what they were paying on, the 2 Alden, on their loan. That's what they were paying, I think.
so it's gonna be paid off quicker than the old loan was.
Right,
Well,
because they're not paying
that's-
interest, yeah.
Almost a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a year and a half, year and 9 months-ish. Yeah, because they were paying Alden $44,800 a year. And, so we just made it round at 45, and then that will take care of it.
Need a new shovel
2 years
stand.
earlier. Yeah, so, so it's quite, it's quite the cost savings for the fire department there.
So the bottom line is we're spending not quite $8,000 less in the fire department budget than we did the previous year, in the previous budget. Well, maybe I'm wrong, just a second.
Last year's
You're right.
I
expenditures,
think you're right, Walt.
You're right.
It's
Yeah,
less.
it went down,
It's less,
it went down 8,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because last year in the budget, we had, in the budget, with 27,500 or something like that, which is it, Polaris?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was the side by side,
Side,
yeah, yeah, for snow rescue. Yep.
okay, well, I thank you for your time and answering my questions. I have another, I don't know if it's related or not to the budget, but can we just throw it out and you can tell me yes or no, that it's,
Yeah, that's
you
your
can
question.
cover? Well, the ambulance authority, I don't know if it's called the ambulance authority, becoming April 1st is when the townships is taking over the running of the ambulance, whatever it used to be called.
Yeah, okay, the township has always owned the ambulances. and.
All
we
the
own
townships
building.
involved together own the ambulances.
Right, there's 9 townships. Okay, and we had Allied
Right,
running it for us.
I
Now,
understand that,
we're going to run it ourselves.
okay.
The 9
So,
townships, when I say ourselves, which we're one of the 9.
so each township's got a member on the board when they vote on things and how to do things in the future?
Yes,
Does the Devil Township get 2 votes or just 1?
it's, once we formed the authority, each township has 1 vote.
Okay, so who oversees that budget?
Who oversees that budget? I'm on that board.
When come April 1st, the members from the 9 townships are gonna sit on the board together and do the budget and oversee that?
We have an executive committee, a president who's Terry Smith, supervisor of Forest Home, treasurer, clerk is Rick Teague, supervisor for Helena, and then I'm the vice president, and I'm representing Central Lake, and we put the budget together, and then the entire board
Votes it up or down, or makes changes,
Or
whatever.
change it,
Yeah.
right.
Now, the funds for that comes from the thing that's on the ballot that we renew every so often, right?
Right, every 4 years you renew it. It was 0.65. This last year you renewed it to 1 mil.
Is that gonna put it in good standings, I mean, in good financial standings then?
Yes,
So are you, is the board putting away money for future purchases and stuff like that? Or do they wait until all of a sudden they need something and then they
no,
go?
we've been buying a new ambulance every 2 years. We're running 4. We did keep the 5th one this year. What they want to do is have it more or less benches down both sides, and in the wintertime, things like that, they'll pull it on the fire, have a place for firemen to get into and get warmed up, and then also they go to a home and the family just has to run out with the clothes on their back. It's a place for them to be transported.
So this extra millage, it's, before you paid an executive to run the show, right? From that
No,
other-
we paid a company.
a company, well, one man ran it, was basically in charge of this area, wasn't he?
We had an area a manager that was employed by Allied. Now that manager is going to be employed by the Township Ambulance Authority.
Okay. So with this extra millage in it, is it gonna be in better financial shape than it was before?
Well, sure, I mean, you got more money.
Right. Was there problems then in the past?
When you have an ambulance run, you lose about 35% on each run you make. So the millage makes that money up. We were doing it for all.
You mean the cost to
The cost.
to the
If-
party that needed
If
the
the cost
ambulance?
of, ambulance run costs $100, you only collect roughly $65.
I'm glad you said that, I didn't realize that. There's a 35% loss
Yeah.
that the townships pick up.
Was that gonna
That's
change?
why we had to do
I'm
it.
glad you said that, I didn't know that.
But is that,
I mean, I can give you exact.
No,
figures,
that's
but I
close
think-
enough, yeah, I did not know that.
but now the public's paying more in now, so it's not gonna change, there's still gonna be about the same split, you think?
Uh,
Because we're paying, I mean, the people that,
Well, okay, I mean, you have additional costs going up. We make up, the ambulance authority loses money on the ambulance runs. They bill, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, insurance company, individual. It just doesn't pay. And the township, originally that was out of Northern Michigan Hospital. They said, we're losing money, we can't lose any more money. We're giving you 1 year, there's no ambulance service, so we had to take it over.
okay. All right, thank you for your information, I appreciate it. I'm all done. You're happy with that?
Bill, Any questions on the budget?
Yeah, I think I give you all 5 of my copies of the part of the report, so I don't have my
Oh,
6.
Okay.
Oh, I did have one
Thanks.
note. Do
We
we,
borrow one for,
did we still wanna combine the building and grounds new and debt retirement into one line that we talked about? I forgot to write it down, but
Whatever is the best for you, Andrew. I mean, we know what it is.
However it works better for
I
you.
think, we should probably combine those into one and say due to general fund. It'll just keep it easier to,
Well, that's what I would say, and,
yeah.
I mean, it's all one payment.
Yeah, it won't change the
We
amounts or
had-
anything,
We had to
just,
do,
Sure, bookkeeping.
show the, yeah, it makes it, I think
so
the,
you wanna keep 931 and combine it with,
well, no, if you get rid of 931, 100, and 990, those two,
and combine it?
combine them together, so that brings it to 70 some, 72.5, and then it will be due to general fund. And then I'll get you the new account number.
see,
I'll have that with
actually,
you.
right, I mean, there's money coming out of fund balance to make the budget.
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Provided you spend your
General
capital
fund.
outlay.
Do the general fund?
Right.
Due to general fund, yeah.
And that's what the capital outlay is for.
All right.
Okay, anyone else on, any questions on the budget?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. I just want to say it looks really good. It's easy to read, understand, nice and clear, no questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. If there's no further questions, no further comments, we'll call the public hearing to a close.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll support.